1722. Hillary's Ribs and Barbecue in North Chicago can cater groups from 10 to 800 people and is the official caterer of WKRS.
That Hillary's menu sounds so great, there ought to be a song about it.
Oh, my friend, there is.
8:20 on WKRS. On the way, Congressman Mark Kirk. First, though, a check of our Lake County radar weather. Here's staff meteorologist Mike Westendorf.
Here's a look at your 1220 WKRS forecast. I'm meteorologist Mike Westendorf. We'll see partly sunny and then mostly cloudy skies today as high temperatures reach up to about 22 degrees. A wind west to northwest increasing at 5 to 15 miles an hour. We promised you some colder air this week. Still looks like we're going to be right on the fringe of the worst of it. I don't think the worst of it will actually get here, though. 4 tonight, near 20 tomorrow, but talking about teens Wednesday, Thursday, they are at least 10 to 15 degrees below normal. I'm meteorologist Mike Westendorf on WKRS.
Thanks, Mike. It's 11 right now at our studios in Waukegan. At 8:20, let's check news headlines. Chip, what's coming up?
Well, Jim, accusations are being made that a new movie called The Narc was produced with money that was embezzled from what was to be a new Waukegan car dealership. Congressman Mark Kirk is going to be in Mundelein tomorrow to hear about the findings of a study regarding automated train horns. And 2 people were injured following a snowmobile accident that took place on Saturday. I'll have details on those stories and more coming up at the bottom of the hour. That comes your way at 8:30. Our time now is 8:21.
Thank you very much, Chip. And joining us this morning, speaking of him, our 10th District Congressman, Mark Kirk. Congressman, good morning.
Good morning, Jim. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Yourself?
I'm just fine.
Good. Have a good weekend?
We did.
That's good to hear. Well, man, there's so much to talk about with the war with Iraq, Saddam Hussein possibly going into exile. I want to bring that up. That could be some exciting news. But first, here locally, we have a couple things. First, the harbor cleanup in Waukegan. It's great to see that underway. First of all, though, like Chip just mentioned, in Mundelein tomorrow, you're going to be out to hear the results of a study about the train horns in Mundelein. Tell me a little bit about that.
That's right. This is a big deal because bureaucrats in Washington drafted an order that would force every train in our community to blow the whistle at all hours of the day or night throughout our towns whenever they crossed a railroad intersection. This is to correct a problem that arose in Florida, where they have a different driving culture. People, when they saw a train coming, would hit the gas in a kind of Dukes of Hazzard move and end up in an accident with a train. Illinois drivers largely respect the railroad crossings, but this draft rule would have forced a 116 decibel train whistle to blow throughout our towns. The village of Mundelein came up with a unique solution. Rather than have the train blow its horn throughout the town at 3 o'clock in the morning, they have a much lower decibel horn that goes off just at the intersection itself. It spreads noise pollution in a much more reduced fashion, and they're releasing results of their study tomorrow. We'll be there to talk about that and talk about my efforts with Speaker Hastert to prevent the original train horn rule, which would have spread noise pollution throughout our communities, from going into effect.
Well, Congressman, I've got to say what Mundelein has going on right now, I love them because they're a lot quieter if you're not near the gate crossing. If you live a couple miles away, you don't hear it as loud. But if you're right in the area, you hear it just as loud as if the train was blowing its horn right there.
That's right. The original federal rule was a 116 decibel horn that blows throughout the town. This program that Mundelein has come up with is just a 50 decibel horn only at the intersection, and I think it's a much more appropriate solution.
I've got to tell you, if you've ever been crossing the tracks when the gates start to go down and the horn goes off, it scares the heck out of you because it sounds like the train's right there. So they do I like them, and they do a pretty good job. So if you've been through Mundelein, you'll see what we're talking about because they have the blinking red X's on the crossings where the horns are.
That's right. Looks like a common sense way to upgrade safety at railroad intersections.
Well, good deal with that. Another great thing going on in the Waukegan area, the cleanup of Waukegan Harbor, and I know you've been extremely instrumental in getting a lot of government funding for the cleanup. We're starting to see that go on now, huh?
That's right. We had a difficult legal problem that 6 different government agencies are all involved in Waukegan Harbor cleanup, and each one of them could say no to any proposed solution, and so we were not moving forward. The strange way our state and federal environmental laws interact is that you had to get unanimity among these groups in order to move forward. Well, I convened a group in July of all of these agencies to force them to sit down together to work through our possible objections. And we came up with a plan that we would propose a solution to clean up Waukegan Harbor using a common testing data. That agreement allowed us access to $200,000 in funding from the Army Corps of Engineers. We announced last week that the Army Corps has begun to test Waukegan Harbor to exactly see where PCBs and other contaminants are. Indications are that we had to move as much as 300,000 cubic meters of material to complete the cleanup of the harbor. But with this testing, the Citizens Advisory Group on Waukegan Harbor thinks that we would have to move far less than that, as little as 15,000 cubic meters, when accurate testing showed where the actual contamination sites are. So it's exciting. We'll all be going off of common test data, and once the testing is finished, I will bring all of the agencies back together to hammer out a cleanup plan for the harbor.
Congressman, it's really exciting, especially last week they were having public forums on some of the sports and recreational facilities they want to put out there. And to see sports and recreation and fun outdoor activities go hand in hand with the lakefront in Waukegan, that is a big change, and it's really exciting. And it has to do with this cleanup.
That's right. We've got the soccer fields going in where the old Johns Manville facility is. We have new condos going up on the Waukegan lakefront to give us a glimpse of what it will be like to be able to live and work in the harbor area and see the sunrise over Lake Michigan every day, all leading to a time when we've followed the example of Kenosha and Racine, where they're already revitalizing their lakefront area. And, of course, that is the crown jewel of Waukegan's future, ability to bring about a residential and environmental future for the harbor area.
And again, I just want to bring up to everybody's attention how instrumental you were, Congressman, with getting a lot of the funding for this cleanup. It couldn't have gone on without you. So on behalf of everybody, thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
It's an exciting future for the lakefront in Waukegan. Well, finally, Congressman, this morning I just wanted to bring up a little bit with the potential war with Iraq. Over the weekend, we had a lot of war protesters. Also, some news that, some big news, quite possibly maybe Saddam Hussein could go into exile. How realistic is that? That's
right. With the war protesters, we have to remember that is their right under the Constitution. The whole purpose of the federal government is to protect people's First Amendment rights, especially when they disagree with their government. But I'm excited about this new concept that Saudi Arabia and other Arab countries in the region have come together on to have Saddam Hussein go into exile, much as Uganda's dictator Idi Amin did. If we were able to accomplish that, if we were able to convince Saddam Hussein that he should leave office, we could obviate the need for a conflict and have a new government in Iraq take power that didn't want to fight the United Nations and the whole world community, but instead wanted to work with us. It would allow us to disarm Iraq. It would allow us to lift sanctions. It would allow us to bring about new stability to the region. At this point, we have to be sanguine about the potential of Saddam Hussein to agree to go into exile, but it's certainly worth our time to look into and support this initiative to plot out how he would go into exile and where he would live.
Now, what do you think it would take for him to go into exile? Urging of fellow nations in the Middle East or people in his own country?
He would have to be offered a place to live in another country and some assurance that he would not be killed right away the moment he leaves Iraq. This is an idea that worked with Idi Amin, and certainly is something that would prevent the need for any conflict in the Middle East. It's an exciting prospect. I'm glad that the Arab countries in the region brought it forward. I'm also glad that the administration is encouraging this effort because it would give us a way out and a diplomatic solution, and that's always the preferable way to go.
I think everybody would be happy with that, especially with the economy right now. The people that are really concerned about the economy now, you take what a war would have cost, give Saddam Hussein a little fraction of that, just basically, here's some money, leave.
That's right. And it's important on the economy, too, to note that oil prices are slightly higher today, not because of what's going on in Iraq, but because of what is going on in Venezuela. It reminds us that we've got to keep an eye on other regions of the world. The constitutional crisis in Venezuela, the president seeming to be in a conflict with his entire country, requires action by the American nations, with the Organization of American States leading. We have been so focused on Iraq that this problem in Venezuela has come up. It has affected the oil markets far more than the Iraqi problem, and needs leadership by our American partners so that the Venezuelan oil industry can begin operating again. They're the number one providers of imported oil to the United States, and it's something that calls out for action by our diplomats.
I know. Hopefully we'll see an end to that, because if you've been to the gas station and recently at any point you've seen gas prices are really getting through the roof.
That's right, and ironically the problem is more to do with what's happening in Venezuela than what's happening in Iraq.
That's pretty interesting. Oh, and finally, Congressman, I wanted to bring up the fact you just recently started active duty again.
I did. I was an active duty reservist for 13 years. I took some time off starting out in the Congress, but given how much national security is impacting what we do in this country and what we do in the Congress, I have gone back on reserve status, serving one weekend a month in the Pentagon. It's exciting to be able to do this because my duty station is actually in the alert center of the Pentagon, where all intelligence from around the world is fused into one coherent picture to be provided to the Secretary of Defense and to the President. For me, it's a chance one weekend a month to get fully up to date on what is happening in the world, and a chance also to experience the ups and downs and difficulties that reservists face in their, as Winston Churchill would say, twice a citizen job on the weekends. And I'm particularly excited to be able to do that. It's also helped me keep up to date on what's going on around the world.
Well, that sounds exciting. I was happy to hear that, and I was also happy to hear that you're in Washington when you do that. You don't have to fly out anywhere.
As well, it's important, and I'm glad that the Navy was able to assign me to the Pentagon Alert Center. It's definitely a hopping place. It's open 24 hours a day, watching all regions of the world. And it's been a chance for me as an experienced intelligence officer to give back to my country in another way, but also to get up to date so that on Monday morning when I leave the Pentagon, I go back to the Congress fully informed on what's happening around the world.
Now, is there any chance that, I know we see a lot of these reservists being called up to head out to the Middle East. Is there any chance that that could happen with you?
Almost no chance unless I wish it. The Navy does have a way of not calling up congressmen involuntarily. But I will probably spend 2 weeks active duty when Congress is not in session. Which is usually, for example, in August. And that will be another chance for me to get out with the troops, to make sure that their quality of life, the food, the email back home, how well they're taken care of is there. And also for me to get up to speed, not just on what's happening in the Alert Center, but what's happening out in the fleet. The 10th Congressional District is a Navy town. The United States Navy is born and trained in this community, and it's a way for me to move out to the fleet when Congress is not in session and see how the young men and women in uniform are doing once they've left Great Lakes.
Well, fantastic. 10th District Congressman Mark Kirk, our guest every Monday morning. Congressman, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jim.
And we'll talk to you next Monday.
All right, take care.
Take care, Congressman Mark Kirk. Always a pleasure to hear from him. 8:34, we'll check news coming up next.
It's time to start crunching those numbers, downloading those forms, and finding all the receipts you put in that shoebox. Getting frustrated yet? Try crunching this number, 86.
A complete look at the newscast coming up at the top of the hour following ABC News at 9 o'clock. The time now is 8:52. I'm Chip Egan in the 1220 WKRS Newsroom.
Thanks, Chip. Up after 9 o'clock, the Mike Gallagher Show, by the way. And if you happen to be in the neighborhood, WKRS fancy, nice bumper stickers. Stop on by, pick one up, 3250 Belvedere Road in Waukegan. Well, Chip, thank you very much, sir. It's 8:53 now on WKRS, and time for a weekly visit with State Senator Adeline Geo Karis, like we do this time every Monday. Senator, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you doing, Jimmy?
I'm doing fantastic. Thanks for
I'm
asking.
glad to hear it.
Well, not yesterday, but last week, we got a new governor in the state of Illinois. So far, how are things going?
Well, I'll tell you what. Last Monday, he was inaugurated, and I did not go to Springfield because I had to go to Chicago later. But anyway, I enjoyed watching the inauguration. I thought the governor did very well, the new governor. I thought he spoke very well, and he looks like he has the enthusiasm and the energy and the desire to do the best he can for the governor, for the state. And even though he's not of my party, I certainly intend to work with him to get into the budget and see what we can do, what cuts we do have to make, because we don't want to raise income tax and we don't want to raise sales tax if we can avoid it. And I thought the inauguration was very beautiful. I had been to a couple of them, and I understand my candidate for state treasurer, Judy Bartopinka, stole the show, though. She had people in stitches, and she's just a great gal and is doing a terrific job as state treasurer. She's brought more money in interest to the state of Illinois than any other treasurer before her. Did you know that?
I was not aware of that. That's interesting.
She's very good. She's a very brilliant girl, and I'm very proud of her. And I congratulate all of the new state officers, and I wish them well. They have a tough road ahead, and so do we. One of my good friends, Rudy Golgofsky, passed away, a very well-known gentleman who was very civic-minded and was a trustee, if I recall correctly, in Green Oaks. He used to live in the Waukegan, North Chicago area, and just a fine, fine person. And I certainly extend my deepest sympathies to his wife and his family. Wonderful man. Today is Martin Luther King's Day, and we are closed in the legislative office. In respect to Martin Luther King, who was a great person, who believed in not the color of the skin, but in the quality of the character of the person. And that's the way it should be, Jimmy. Whether we're black, white, Asiatic, or anything else, we should judge people by the quality of their character, not by the color of their skin. I have always felt that way, and I continue to feel that way, and I hope everyone else does. There is no room for racism in this country. This is a country that was founded on the principles of freedom and the right to assemble freely. And I think it's time that we really take Martin Luther King's sermon at heart that he gave at Washington. And he says, I had a dream. I had a dream, he said, where his children could feel that they were part of this great country. And I can't quote him exactly, but I'll tell you, I always loved and respected his message. And I thought he was a great man because he took the peaceful means of trying to put his message across. And he succeeded. Now it's up to the rest of us to follow through. And I think you agree with me on that. You are not a prejudiced individual, I know that. Mm-hmm. And I'm not either, because I don't care what color, what race anyone is. I like to judge them on the quality of their character. I've always been taught that way by my mom and dad, and they would be very proud of me to that extent, because I have never hated anyone because of their race, color, or creed. I respect their right to have their race, color, and creed, and I also respect their right to disagree with me. But we do not have to be disagreeable. Don't you agree?
I agree 100% with you.
And I was in Chicago for 2 days last week. We had a Republican caucus retreat, and it was very interesting, and we grappled about the budget and tried to figure out how we're going to do something about it. And we're all dedicated to that purpose because we do not want to cut the needed social services to the poor or to the senior citizens. And we certainly want to protect education because education is a key. The learning is the key to people's success. I'm very grateful for the schooling I got, and it wasn't always easy, but I encourage all youngsters to look forward to going on to school, whether it's a trade school or whether it's college, as long as they are able to make a living, because that's the name of the game. If you're able to make a living, you can live comfortably, and as long as you have the desire to work. I was brought up in the work ethic, and I'm sure you were too, Jimmy. Am I right?
Yes, I was.
Because I know you have 2 jobs.
Mm-hmm.
You go to Chicago, and you work here too, and you do a great job. And so does Chip Egan. I think you have done a great job in your news services. And I'm very grateful that we have WKRS in our community because it does serve the local needs of our community. And I had the pleasure last Friday night to be the guest at the Beach Park Fire Protection District. They used to be called the Bonnybrook Fire Protection District. And they had a very lovely banquet last Friday night at the Midland Country Club, except that yours truly kept thinking it was at the Thunderhawk. And so I went to Thunderhawk and found it all closed. And I had to call 911, believe it or not, because I couldn't get any other phone number for Bonnybrook Fire Protection District, now called Beach Park Fire Protection District. And I finally got through, and they said, no, it's not at the Thunderhawk, it's at the Midland Country Club. I felt so foolish, but no, lawyers can be awful dumb, too. And I admit I was very, very dumb. I should have read my invitation more carefully. And actually, what happened is last year they had it at Thunderhawk, and for some reason or other, it stuck in my mind. But you see, we can make mistakes, too. And yet I got there in time, and everyone was so gracious. And I want to congratulate Ted Zellick and his board of trustees of the Beach Fire Protection District and all the folks who are members of the Fire Protection District and all the officers. And what a great job they're doing. I have allocated $250,000 for a fire pumper truck for them, which is really unique, a beautiful piece of equipment, has the emergency services in it and everything. Really beautiful thing. And they are well trained. I'm so proud of the Beach Park Fire Protection District. They are really well trained for emergencies. And that's the name of the game, to see that we do have good fire protection services and good police services. And I know that you agree with me on that, too. I feel that Martin Luther King Day should be celebrated today. It should be honored. And we in the legislative service are honoring it. So our office is closed for that. Now, the law office may be open, but I'm not going to be participating in. My associate who comes from Chicago has to take a deposition there. But I will not be available for any legislative work today. I thought people should know that we have to honor the memory of a man who was peaceful, and he was an articulate speaker, and I can still see him giving his message. I had a dream in Washington. What a tremendous, tremendous speech he made. It will go down in history as one of the best orations that was ever made by anyone. And when you think back, we've come a long way. I don't know if you know it or not, Jimmy, but the Greeks came as indentured servants too in the 1700s. Did you know that?
I wasn't aware of that, but
yes,
I know there's
on various islands, Greek islands. They felt that the climate would be better to have in Florida for people who were from Greece and Italy and what have you. You didn't know that, huh?
Well, I was aware of indentured servants. I guess I just wasn't aware of the...
Yeah, the Greeks were too.
Okay.
There are a number of Greeks, and eventually they settled. Some died, and some were not very well treated, but they managed. But I thought you'd like to know. So you see, this country is a great country. It's made up of all kinds of nationalities, all races, colors, and creeds, and the best comes to the top. And you must congratulate Ron Blojevich, who comes from a Serbian background, and his father was a Serbian officer in World War II. And when you stop and think that what he has done, he's managed to run for governor and be elected. even with the name of Blagojevich, which is just as bad as Geo Karis. But, you know, to have a boy come from his roots and become governor, I think is very commendable. And as I said, I'm willing to work with him. I was notified, by the way, by the president of the Senate, Emil Jones, whom I've known for 30 years, that he is making me a co-chairman of the Executive Appointments Committee. I was the minority spokesman appointed by Frank Watson. And although I'm not in leadership, and the reason I'm not in leadership is I did not support Frank Watson for minority leader. I supported Kirk Dillard. And Dillard lost, so I lost too. However, that's not the end of the story or the end of life. I'm perfectly happy to work with Frank Watson and to be the minority spokesman as well as the chairman of the Executive Appointments Committee. And Kirk Dillard is the other one who was appointed minority spokesman for judiciary, and he's also made a co-chairman of his committee with John Cullerton. So we are the only two that have the co-chairmanship, even though we're not of the Democrat Party. So I'm very grateful, and I'm very thankful to President Emil Jones for his appointment.
Fantastic. State Senator Adeline Geo Karis, our guest. Like every Monday morning, Senator, it's always so great to hear from you. And
well, I'm delighted to speak with you. I look forward to Monday morning, and I guess people do listen to us.
Oh, yeah.
But I want to thank your radio station for making the time available for me.
Oh, fantastic.
And I wish you well, and I wish everyone a pleasant holiday today. And God bless all of you with good health and safe travel.
Well, fantastic. Well, thanks so much for being on with us. We'll talk to you next Monday, and have a great week, okay?
You too.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. State Senator Adeline Geo Karis. 9:04, we'll check news and traffic next year on 1220 AM WKRS Waukegan.
Less and